listening to a One Pint Stand, a Minnesota craft beer podcast that tells the stories of craft beer in Minnesota and beyond. So kick back, relax, and grab a cold one. The show starts now. Hello, my name is Dan Bobian, and I write, produce, and host a One Pint Stand. I'm ecstatic that you are listening. This podcast has been a passion project of mine since 2016. This episode is all about Montgomery Brewing in Montgomery, Minnesota. I sat down with my friend and the owner, Charles Dorsey. I've known Chuck for several years, and I always enjoy chatting with him about beer, cooking, or really just life in general. He's a wonderful human being, and we had been going back and forth about when I can come down and do a podcast, and the stars finally aligned, and so I was really happy to sit down with him. Montgomery Brewing has really stood the test of time since opening in 2014. The Minnesota craft beer scene has evolved a lot since then, yet just as consistent as a roasty pint of Montgomery Peanut Buster Stout. It's always there to greet you and remind you why it's so good. So let's head out to Montgomery Brewing Brewhouse for my chat with Charles Dorsey to talk beer. Cheers. Welcome to another on-location episode of a One Pint Stand. My name is Dan Bobian, and I'm down here at Montgomery Brewing Company in Montgomery, Minnesota, being joined by Charles Dorsey.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me down, Charles.
Thanks for coming down.
This is great. This is my third visit here, but the first time with the podcast equipment. So Montgomery so I live in St. Paul. It was just about an hour from my house to parking on the street. And so it's a lovely brewery. And sometimes I always wonder if these breweries that are located outside the 694, 494 loop get enough, I wonder if they get enough love from the folks in the Twin Cities. Do you get a lot of people from the cities down here?
We do. So it's gotten... Well, business has kind of changed since the pandemic, but you definitely have your day trippers out there. You have your golf crowd that goes around. We're only 15 minutes off from 35W, so people that do check in, brewery near me, we show up, and it's kind of like a hidden gem. So if a lot of people that have been here once, if they're making the trek on 35, they'll try to stop over again.
Yeah. I know the most recent time I was down here, it was a Saturday afternoon. I was with a couple friends, and we started off here, and then we dragged you with us to Giesenbräu, which is just like
7 miles.
7 miles, yep. 10 minutes away, something like that.
Yep.
Although I should say, when you're driving around in the Batmobile, it probably takes you about
right.
3 minutes.
There's still cops on the road.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, how long has Montgomery been around?
So we're on year number 9.
Okay.
We started the process in 2014. The reason why I'm located in this building is my father-in-law owns it, and it used to be a brewery started in 1893, made it past a few years past Prohibition. It's got a ton of history, and that's why we also went with the name of Montgomery Brewing. The original name was Montgomery Brewing Company.
Okay.
So it was cool. The building itself, my father-in-law bought it in 2000, and he's been working on it ever since. My business putting a brewery in there was never part of the business plan. But after homebrewing for a while and there was a space open available to rent, it was a why not, let's see what happened type thing. I did IT for several years before that. I still do it now. But it was kind of a fun venture. I thought it was going to be sell a couple growlers out the back of the trunk like gypsies, just make it super easy. And then once I learned that the Department of Ag had to get in and you're pretty much building a tap room, then it started to be a tap room. And I just learned everything on the fly. I never went to school for business. It's been a wild ride. Our first day open, I didn't even have a point of sale. It was post a couple things on Facebook like, hey, we're opening up. We had 3 kegs in the back. and we had growlers to sell, and we sold all 3 kegs in 30 minutes, and 60 people out the door were like, I knew
Holy
they were going to
crap.
run out of beer, and that's exactly what I said. Holy crap, what did,
Yeah.
what did we just start?
Yeah, I would suppose that's probably the better problem to have than,
Yeah.
oh no, we only went through half a keg. What are we going to do?
Well, those are the heydays, you know. That was when, I mean, we were brewery number 70-something,
Yeah.
and now there's over 200.
Wow.
That in the market was new. There was a lot of intrigue by customers, and even now, if you're the shiny new nickel, you're gonna get the business. Everybody wants to check you out.
Yeah.
But we're pretty happy to still be around.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and it's definitely, and we can talk about this a little later in the show, but just like how difficult it is right now to run a brewery. So 9 years old, you have, it's quite a lot of space. When you look at the building from the front, it doesn't, I mean, you don't realize how far back the building goes. And we're sitting here in the brew house. It's quite large for, you know, I think what, you know, when I look at the front, I'm like, oh, okay, this is, so what size barrel system is this?
Well, this one we just built. I built this during COVID, actually. So this is a 3-vessel, 10-barrel brew house from Alpha with oversized kettles. They're all 15-barrel kettles. And then I went with 2 20-barrel fermenters, 2 10s, 2 7s, and then on the pilot, what we call the pilot size now, but we ran on that for 8 years.
Okay.
7 years. That one has, it's a 4-barrel homegrown system, and that one has 3 5s, 4 4s, and a 1. So we have 14 tanks total.
Okay, yeah. It's quite a lot. And right now I'm drinking this Czech Pilsner. It's quite delicious and crisp. After the hour-long drive, I came in thirsty.
That's right.
So, do you do a lot of lagers or mostly ales?
We're kind of all, I can't say all over the board. There's some sort of strategy behind it.
Yeah.
The lager side of it, we did this beer last year for our town festival called Kolachki Days, where we brew a new beer all the time.
Okay.
We call it K-Days, and we were super happy with it. And one of the original beers from the 1930s was Bohemian Club.
Okay.
So the resurrecting the name was always part of our plan to get that back in. One of our first beers that we came out was the Chief beer that's on the side of the building.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that redone?
It was last year. So the Historical Society in town actually helped fund it.
Oh,
and
cool.
then they worked with the local painter, well, they're out of New Prague, and they did that entire job in about 2 weeks, all on ladders.
Wow.
Yeah, they restored it. It looks great.
It really does look nice. I remember previously it was kind of faded.
It
like
was
you
pretty
could kind of
faded.
see it, which gave it kind of a neat, you know, when you go through like a downtown, you can kind of see like what, like
the ghost images.
Yeah. And that kind of, it gives it a neat kind of historic feel. But
Yep.
It sure does look sharp.
It was getting to the point where you had to do something now or you were going to lose it. So the image itself kind of went, you could see how the painters used the brickwork to run their lines, and it was starting to fade out to a point where we weren't going to be able to get it back.
Okay.
So it was, I mean, that sign was 100 years old, I believe,
Wow.
when they restored it.
Yeah.
So it'll last for another 100.
That's really cool. It's neat to have like a sense of history. And I didn't know that brand, the Montgomery brand for brewing existed, you know, a long time ago. Do you get people coming in who remember that, or, you know,
Yes.
being like, hey, I used to drink here when I was 14 or
Well,
something?
a lot of those guys are pretty...
Well, right, yeah. I suppose. I'm not a math teacher, folks. So.
But I have heard some great stories. I've had the great-great-grandson of one of the owners throughout the hands of time pop in to say hi and check it out.
Okay.
I had a guy come in. He was a kid, and one of the fun stories I learned out of this is that the brewery would provide beer to the farm so they could give it to their farm hands that worked, and then but they provided so much beer that they put a lien against their farm until harvest time.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't think that would really fly nowadays.
No.
But that was pretty cool. He's like, oh yeah, we used to stop with the horse and buggy and pick up the beer for the farm hands.
Yeah, that must have been a nice perk.
Yeah.
So this Bohemian Club, is it a similar recipe?
Yeah, we tweaked the IBUs just a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, it's Bohemian malt and Saaz hops. Since we started introducing reverse osmosis RO water into our process a little bit more, it's easier to produce now.
Sure. Yeah, that's something I think that really does open up the playbook, so to speak.
It does. We always I always wanted to try to keep the town profile, but there are some beers that you just can't do. When I did this beer about 4 or 5 years ago, we had a town. It was the 100th year anniversary for something. We named it Stilete Pivot. I think it was a historical society. Anyways, we made it, and then I dumped it because something wasn't right. And I was looking at the recipe and doing research. Like, this recipe is just fine. So I got a water tote, went to Giesenbräu, grabbed 200 gallons of their RO water, and then used 60 gallons of my water, and the beer turned out great.
Okay.
So we knew that there's a play for that. And then when I built the second brew house, we had a 1,000-gallon dairy tank that we were going to use as a reclaim tank. But I just chose to turn it into a reverse osmosis holding tank instead.
Okay. And, when I've been here before, one thing I really appreciate about what you do down here is that there is a very nice variety of different things. And I remember, was it 2 years ago at the Autumn Brew Review when you all won, was it the fan favorite beer
I think
of
so.
the fest? And that was a hazy IPA.
It was a triple hazy called Hazy in the Name of. Like Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. So you can do that beer, and then you can do a Pilsner. I've seen, you always have the peanut butter. Is it peanut?
Peanut Buster.
Peanut Buster.
Yeah.
That one. I think that's the first beer I had from you all at a festival. And I was like, oh. At that point, in my mind, kind of the measuring stick of all peanut butter beers was Dangerous Man's Peanut Butter Porter.
Still is, I think, for a lot of people.
And I'm
absolutely.
like, okay, well, this belongs in that conversation. I think the Peanut Buster, if I'm remembering correctly, I'll probably have it when we do our little break, is very roasty. Mm-hmm. It's not overly sweet. I think sometimes a peanut butter porter can be anywhere in between those two kind of measuring sticks. And I really like that one. There aren't many beers that you probably haven't brewed. Some breweries, their identity is, they're a lager place. Mm-hmm. Some breweries are like, okay, we lean heavily into IPAs. What would you say is your beer identity here?
Well, I try to push, at least on the sales part. I mean, I still find ourselves as an IPA shop. I personally love IPAs. I don't think that they're going anywhere. I think and hope West Coast styles are coming back. I love hazy IPAs. For me, it's the distinguishing hazy IPAs, trying to distinguish one from another, gets a little more difficult than you find with a West Coast. But yeah, absolutely, we're a West Coast shop. We're an IPA shop, but we've run the gamut for quite a long time, and I can't think of a beer style that we haven't done. But we've also found what doesn't sell in this town and what does. Yeah. So like our water profile is great for Belgians, great for saisons. Okay. We stopped producing them. Yeah. Which is a shame. They turned out really good, but it's a niche market.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, for the same reason why a lot of places don't do like a best bitter or extra special bitter. They're not popular. Yeah. Which, like you say, is a real shame because it's like there's some of us out there that like if there was a place that did all British ales all the time, I would be part of their mug club. Yeah. I'd have my mail forwarded there. I would live there. So it's like, but you can't do everything.
No, we do make an ESB. We produce it about once a year. It's called Brexit.
Oh.
We made it during Brexit.
Okay.
And so we still have a following for it, but really it's kind of a one and done. And then people go, once they have their couple pints of it, they go back to their ones that they normally have.
Sure. When does that usually come out?
Well, usually about March, April. Okay. So
damn it.
Missed it this. We haven't
I'll
brewed
have to come back in a few weeks. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a sucker for that. I mean, everybody's got their styles that, like, they really have to search for. Yeah. With the IPAs, I don't want to assume anything about live in St. Paul. I've never lived in a smaller town. I would imagine there's a lot of people who are kind of like, they're into the beer that their parents drank, American light lagers.
Yeah.
Do you find that somebody coming in who has not tried a craft beer, that they're pretty receptive to what you have to offer?
I think so. I think that the community that hasn't had craft beer, I think, has dwindled down. A lot of people have had it. Hopefully they had one that they've enjoyed, so they go back and try some more.
Yeah.
But as far as, when I opened up, I was even told, this is a Bud Light town. It's not going to work out. Hope the best for you, but it's not going to work
Sure.
out. And here we are 9 years later.
Yeah.
I think that, for me, beer is about balance. I guess what I love about IPAs is that there's a ton of creativity you can do with an IPA versus more of a traditional beer. When you're in that traditional style, the guidelines are a little more strict. You can still get experimental, but they're a little more strict.
Right.
So, if you bring out a good balanced beer, we'll bring an IPA for an example.
Mm-hmm.
8 years ago, when an IPA came out, it's usually the more bitter the better. 100 IPA,
Right.
100 IBUs, let's go. And now you bring out a hazy IPA that tastes like literally orange juice, and tell me anybody that's, you don't like beer, we'll try this. Oh, it tastes like juice.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
And so that can be the catalyst or the gateway.
Yeah, the idea of the gateway beer has changed.
Yes.
And sometimes when people hear the word hoppy, they automatically assume bitter because when they were getting into craft beer, maybe 10 years ago, that's what they had. Maybe they had the Surly Abrasive, or I remember there was one from some brewery out on the West Coast called Hop Stupid, and it was like over 100 IBUs, and a lot of people would be like, you can't really tell after a certain threshold, so some people will just like put whatever number on the bottle to try to impress you, but I think it's interesting how that has evolved, and I guess I would put a well-made, balanced hazy IPA in front of somebody if they thought they didn't like hops in a beer. It's not going to offend anyone.
No.
And the juiciness, it's kind of like a nice way to showcase hops. I remember the first time I went out to the East Coast and tried Heady Topper. I thought it was outstanding. And I had not really had anything like that. So for me, it was like a huge, whoa.
Yeah.
Where have these beers been? And now they're everywhere. And I'm like, I'm a little overloaded.
It's still fun to have a beer or find a beer, no matter where it is, and your eyes open up. You're like, wow, what is this? Or what did they do? What is in here? And for me, and maybe it's just my age, but my taste buds are always changing. So I can have one beer one day, and it will taste totally different the next day just because of how hydrated I am, what I had to eat, whatnot. But just experiencing those times of, wow, this is delicious, it keeps me coming back to it.
Yeah. Now, I want to go back. You said that you used to homebrew. Do you remember what craft beer or what beer in general kind of got you into craft?
Fat Tire. I mean, it's not super hoppy, but it tasted delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, I played a lot of softball back then, so it was always the light beer, and having something with flavor really just totally set it aside.
Yeah. That was and I remember for a while you couldn't really get Fat Tire outside of Colorado.
Yeah.
And then they started shipping it to the states that shared a border. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was around early 2000s, maybe like 2004, I started seeing bombers of it show up at the liquor stores, and a friend had brought it over, and I was like, wow.
Yep.
Where's this from? And that kind of like really got the wheels turning, because we didn't have a craft beer scene back then that you could really get into much. Who in the industry would you say mentored you along the way? Or like if you're having a problem with some equipment or something, or you're kind of banging your head against the wall with a recipe, who do you like text and be like, hey, I'm doing this. This is happening. Do you have any ideas?
The good part is that my system at the time was 4 barrels, so if I had to figure it out, I figured it out by dumping it and redoing it again.
Yeah.
I've met some extremely special people throughout the years, and some of them are still in the industry and some are not. Like Sam from Sisyphus, we were the same brew house size. And, you know, when I talked to him, I didn't even know how to dry hop a beer. Like I said, I was learning everything on the fly, and he helped me through that process. So when I was building a keg washer by hand, we were trying to talk through that sort of stuff. And then on the larger scale of just, you know, getting things explained in an easy manner would be Brock from Badger Hill. He's no longer in the industry.
Right, yeah.
But when I was trying to figure things out, he was just super cool.
Yeah.
He'd answer any questions. He'd say, "Come on over. We'll look at this." Or he stopped over a couple times. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Were there any breweries that you kind of took inspiration from as you kind of were thinking about what you wanted your iteration of Montgomery Brewing to be? Were you like, well, I kind of like what they're doing. I like this thing over here. Where did you take ideas, or kind of what was like, I want it to be like this, I don't want it to be like this?
I guess I never thought of it as a particular store or a tap room per se, but I, when I was going to places, I knew things that I wanted to see. I wanted the brew house, I wanted the tanks to be viewable. Yeah. I wanted the brew house to be viewable. The tap room is only 1,500 square feet.
Yeah, it's cozy.
And half of that is the brew house.
Yeah.
So, you know, as we don't use it as much, we're able to put more seating in there. But mainly just making it had to be functional as a brewery, but then still be cozy enough to be on the taproom side, so you actually want to stick around and don't feel like you're in the way or anything like that. So as far, I guess, short answer, no, I don't have a good reference point, but I did have an idea of what I wanted to see in there.
I like the feel of your tap room. It feels like, I mean, I think craft beer is very much about welcoming people in and being hospitable. I get the sense, like, when I come in, it feels like you're going to someone's house. Yeah. Like, it's got that cozy feel. There aren't a lot of, you know, sharp edges and sterile, you know, things. And I like that. Some people like the more modern, you know, the timbers, the metal tables, like all that stuff. But like, I kind of like beer to feel like, kind of like you're at somebody's house almost. Yeah,
there was definitely a connection. So myself and my father-in-law built out the entire area. Yeah. So I mean, he built the tables. Our bar per se is a Webster-on stainless steel table because I didn't want to get a bunch of chemicals on it when we were using it on the brew house side. And then I had our welding shop just put in a backsplash so your feet aren't showing through. So yeah, it's very cozy. I like the welcoming feel. And I didn't have the funds to, you know, make it a cookie cutter. You know, we're gonna order these chairs from this place. I mean, I got my stuff on K-Bids. Okay, nice. And I finally just swapped them out for chairs that I got on Facebook Marketplace. But hey, they work.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a big thing. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to say the brewery, but there's one brewery that I really love, and when I go there, I'd probably extend my stay by at least an hour. Except their chairs are so uncomfortable, and I'm like, my butt falls asleep suddenly. Yeah. I no longer want to drink as much as I used to. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. What are the locals' favorite beers? What are they coming in clamoring for?
I'd say the Chief and the North Side. Mainly the Chief because it is on the side of the building. It's history. It's an easy drinking amber ale with 5 different hops in it. That was the second beer that we came out with. Okay. And then the first beer that we came out with was the North Side Blonde. So when I started the business venture, I kind of had an idea of, you know, we need to have the standard things, like we have to have an amber, we have to have a blonde, we have to have a stout. We had those 3 beers. I didn't even bring in an IPA for a couple months because I didn't think that there would be a market for it. So we kind of had to educate our consumers to bring that in. And now people come in all the time for IPAs, which I think is great because they have the same passion for it that I do.
Well, it's nice too because if it's a style you love, it's going to be your love and passion is going to be reflected in that beverage. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be made well, and people will enjoy that. You know, I don't know anybody. I mean, there are styles that aren't my favorite styles, but when I drink a beer that's well made, it gives me pause and it makes me kind of reconsider and like, oh, why don't I drink this more often? Because this is really good. So a well-made beer is a good way to line it. You know, kind of like introduce somebody to a new style that they don't like.
Absolutely.
What sort of different things do you do in the tap room? Do you partner with other businesses in town? Do you feel like in a lot of places, the craft brewery is very much a part of the fabric of that town or that place?
Yeah.
How does the Montgomery Brewing fit into that?
I feel like the brewery is definitely a fabric, a part of the town. You just look at the town from 9 years ago when we opened up. There wasn't much going on in the downtown area. We're not located in downtown, but I feel that we're one of the check boxes for people that move to a town. Like, oh, there's a brewery, well, that's cool. And then now there's more businesses popping up in the downtown area, and I feel like we're a part of it. Don't really have an easy thing to say on that, I guess.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's interesting. Well, also, do you have? There's no patio here.
There is not a patio.
I was going to say, how does that work? Would there be a way to make that happen, or not really?
I have to purchase a building, and it's in the works. It is in the works.
Ooh, we have a One Pint Stand exclusive hot take here. Get ready.
It's been in the works for a year. There's a long story behind it, but we hope to procure the building hopefully this year. Worst case next year. But even then, the building that I'm located in the building that we're purchasing was one unit at one time. The well for the original brew house is in that building.
Oh, okay.
So the buildings are very close together. So it will actually solve some problems like egress and things like that for other parts of the area if we can combine these two properties together.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll be exciting. Yeah, it'd be nice to come down on a sunny day and sit outside.
I know. And we get that all the time. And there's not much we can do about it.
And then you'd be pouring a lot more beer, too.
I know.
Especially on, last weekend.
Yeah.
I went down to Shell's. Have you ever been to Shell's?
I have not. I saw you guys. I need to get out there sometime.
It was quite the experience. It was for their festival. So they weren't doing any tours, but, it was 70 degrees. And the Bach was tasting great, and I would kind of alternate between Bach and Shell's Light, and we just had a great time.
They look like they do parties right.
Yeah. Well, when you've been around that long, you probably learn a few things. I would love to do a tour. I didn't realize kind of the layout of it, where it's it's on a river, and I guess they would harvest ice and put it in the caves, age the beer. So it just seems like it makes sense. I want to know if that was on purpose or just
absolutely
a Bob Ross happy little accident.
Nope. The brewery here, they would pay farmers to cut ice, and they'd pack that full of sawdust in one of the rooms here, and that would be their cooler for years or during the year.
Yeah.
But absolutely, and the buildings, are all bigger back then because in the 1800s there was no power. So all the buildings had to be 3 stories high for gravity feeding.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah.
Even the building I'm in, that's why it's 3 stories high, because you can go top and.
When I was here last, we did it. You brought us all throughout, and it was, great place for a brewery. But you could have also filmed a horror movie.
Oh, great place for a haunted house. Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, should do that for Halloween. One of the things I was wondering about was, so. We're sitting here in the brew house. When did you said this new brew house is about 2 years old, give or take?
We're on our second year. Yeah.
Okay.
It took me a year to build it. This was just a storage location for one of our coolers. And when COVID happened, I realized all our eggs were in one basket, and we needed to expand the distribution.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law that does distribution said, let's do it. My brewer he was excited actually get a brew house that's more like a production brew house.
Yeah.
So I started working with my family. We cut the floor out, put in trench drains, and we did, short everything up here. And I'm pretty excited. It looks really good.
It does look very nice. How many barrels did you brew in the last year?
Only 700.
Okay.
We were hoping, that's the market is tighter for the distribution side of things. So that's why I started doing a little more sales. But we have the capacity to do about 2,500.
I can't even imagine trying to walk into a liquor store when there are so many options.
Yeah.
What's the strategy? How do you carve out shelf space?
I'm still figuring it out. My sister-in-law, she's been doing it for the last several years, and she's been training me on it, and she's amazing at it. Mainly, you got to go in there with a little bit of. I mean, I'm confident in the product that we make.
Yeah.
I'm confident that we'll stand up next to any other beer out there, and it's just a matter of if a customer wants to try it or not, and then understanding if there's brand loyalty or not. I'd say 7 years ago there wasn't as much brand loyalty. It was more, that's something new. Let's bring it on. Let's try it. Let's try it.
Yeah.
Now it's more, shelf space is limited. The THC market is taking over cooler space like crazy. And that is what it is. So we're just trying to, you go in there, you smile and drop off a sample and follow up with them and pester them until they say yes or no.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. Well, and I would imagine one of the frustrations is, like you said, you believe your beer stands up, belongs in the conversation with other good quality breweries. I would agree. But convincing somebody who doesn't know, I mean, there has to be a wide... I'm sure, I would shout out, Stinson. Mm-hmm. They know their beer.
Yep.
I would shout out Elevated. There's some places around town that are very good, very knowledgeable about craft. There's also a lot of places that aren't. How do you do that? That would be so frustrating.
It's hard, and it's also, as I'm probably 2 months into the trying to do sales. I'm doing sales about 2 days a week. But what I'm learning is, location loyalty is a big thing, especially when you start hitting Minneapolis, Northeast area, because there's already so many breweries in that location.
Yeah.
So trying to get on their shelf space is a little more difficult than maybe Shakopee or Lakeville, where a lot of the places getting those beers are, the ones self-distributing like myself, but the majority of them is going to be from the distributors, so they're able to shuffle things around and make some space. And if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, we'll be cut.
Yeah.
So after we get on the shelf, then it's our job to make sure through tastings or promotions or things like that to make sure that we're still moving the beer.
Yeah. It's just very, very interesting. I don't know how anybody could maintain their sanity or their
crazy world.
Lack of losing sleep out of frustration. But I mean, I hope that that goes well. I think it's really tough. What's been where are the local places where people can find you in cans?
Oh, I mean, we're in probably 80 locations right now. We kind of run 35W up to Minneapolis, on Bibulus, obviously, is a great location. I think that's as far north on that we go on 35.
Okay. And
then the 169 stretch will go all the way up to Maple Grove. And we're still trying to expand stores. We are using one distributor in southern Minnesota, so we moved our Mankato accounts over to them for them to manage, and that's been going pretty good.
Okay.
So we're just trying to, get our name out there.
Yeah.
People stop asking where Montgomery is. They can be like, oh, yeah, I love your beer. That's perfect.
Yeah, and it's not far. It's an hour south of St. Paul.
Yeah.
So, if you're in, Mendota Heights, Eagan, Apple Valley, it's even closer.
Yeah.
And I think that I wouldn't say it's there's a handful of breweries in that range, but not a ton. So, I mean, if somebody's looking to really find some good beer, I would be like, hey, drive a little further. Montgomery is a total hidden gem.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I mean, that's something, as someone who goes around to a lot of places, I just like your variety. I like that, every time I've been here, I've been greeted warmly by whomever's behind the bar. Mm-hmm. It's a good vibe. It's very casual. I mean, that for me is perfect.
Yeah.
Beers are well made. You can't ask for more than that. So, I would encourage you, if you're listening and you haven't been down here, get down to Montgomery.
It's a good brewery hop if you're on the west side of the metro. You can start, you can hit. There's a couple breweries: Badger Hill, Shakopee Brew Hall, Manna in the Shakopee area. Then your next town south is Jordan. Brudita just took over Rowett's space in Jordan. Yeah. And then next town south, you get Giesenbräu.
Yeah.
And then next town south is us. And then you can work your way back up.
Yeah, yeah. And then go have some food at Lakeville Brewing.
Heck yeah.
Because they're a brew pub.
Yep.
Have you ever been on tap there?
No, I just talked to Randy this week.
Okay.
And it's funny. He said, well, my job is to make sure that you don't get on tap. Like, well, that does make sense. He said, but, we might be to a point where I'm going to need to start making it happen. I'll put you on the short list. So I appreciate that.
I mean, there's not many advantage. Well, maybe there are now since the economy of craft beer has shifted. But like before, there were not many advantages to having a brew pub. And that was the one thing where you could have guest taps. I mean, I remember talking to Steve Finney back when he was at Grand Rounds. He's like, we have the sociable cider works because we don't do a cider. Mm-hmm. We always have like a lager from Bauhaus because we don't do lagers, and kind of Fair State would be on to kind of fill in the gaps,
which is perfect.
So yeah, I think that would be. I think if I don't know if Lakeville does a peanut butter dark beer.
I don't know.
Maybe that's the first one. Yeah, like closed circuit to Randy. You should let's make that happen. Yeah, I just think it's great. When did you? Because how long were you the only brewer here?
I've never been the only brewer.
Oh, okay.
Here. So when I opened the business, I was the only owner. It was myself, and then my sister-in-law came into the picture really fast because she had experience in the bar industry. She used to manage a bar up in the Maple Grove area, so she wanted to be closer to home. She took over the tap room. One of my friends from my homebrew club wanted to be the head brewer, so he took over that role. I wrote the recipes. He cooked them.
Okay.
And then, life just happened, and then we parted ways, and then one of my the intern that we had, Josh, he was our intern, and I looked at him when it all went down, like, hey, so not going to set you up to fail. I know how to run this just as much as anybody else. But would you be willing to take on the challenge? And he did, and he's been here ever since. And he's been the one cranking out all these new beers, which has been great. Yeah.
Well, they're good. So the first beer I had was the Czech Pils, the Bohemian Club.
Bohemian Club, yeah.
Now I'm on to the Dry Irish Stout on Nitro.
Yeah.
This is really good. I like that it has, for me, the Dry Irish Stout is a really good reminder that not every malty beer has to be sweet.
Yes.
There's a nice roasted character. There's a little bit of that kind of like leathery, almost like molasses-y kind of, but not overly sweet. And on Nitro, it's just such a nice texture.
Yeah, for 4.2%, it's nice, and it's got a great texture to it.
Yeah, and the aroma is just great. I also love coffee. So there's definitely some nice coffee notes in here too. Now you said this is a new beer?
It is.
Okay.
Yep, we haven't named it. It's just called Dry Irish Stout on Nitro. We'll see how it goes.
I'm going to throw a name out. Patio Furniture.
Patio Furniture? I love it. I'm going to write that one down. You got to write all beer names down.
Bingo. This is good. Kingdom. Now it's funny because we've got the St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner. We're recording this on Saturday, March 9th. So, almost a week away. We've got, and so I'm imagining, depending on how big of a batch you brewed, this will probably maybe not even be on tap when this comes out in the beginning of April. So, it's very good. It will be brewed again, I'm sure.
Absolutely. It turned out really good.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you're enjoying a 1 pint stand. My aim is to help spread the word about craft beer. Enjoying craft beer is a passion of mine, and I love chatting about it with other people. A 1 pint stand has a goal of helping breweries tell their stories. I love to get out in and beyond Minnesota to visit breweries, beer bars, and meet other interesting beer people. If you are also into those things, you probably want to keep tabs on the show. So go ahead and follow a 1 pint stand on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We would also appreciate any and all positive reviews on Spotify and iTunes to help make it easier for other craft beer listeners to find us. If you like reading about craft beer, I started my own blog, and all of my writing can be found at aonepintstand.com. After 8 years of writing as editor-in-chief at Beer Pluma, it was time for me to start my own blog. So make sure you check out the blog for some interesting craft beer content of the written variety. I truly appreciate you listening and taking time to enjoy our stories. Now, back to the show.
How about a beer?
What other new things, as you think about, how often do you debut a new beer?
Right now, we're kind of in this push. This is kind of our playtime before summertime picks up.
Sure.
When we have to get on a little more of a schedule. We're a small business, so our beer schedule is more of a what should we brew this week? And
Sure.
I guess short answer to question, about every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So by the time I get a label wrapped up and a name we finally get a name picked out, Josh is already on to the next one with some new funky hops that he's working with.
Okay.
So we just came out with Ziggy Hop, which is a hazy IPA, 7%. We're trying to get our ABV down to more restaurant grade because we try to boost it up in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And then we have Pretty Haze Machine. That label just got wrapped up, so that'll be out probably a couple weeks.
Okay.
And then the other one, we're still trying to figure out a name, but that was brewed yesterday.
Okay. And then you said that Kolachki Days, when is that? That's in the summer?
Kolachki Days is July.
Okay.
26th through 28th. It's usually the last weekend of July.
Okay.
Which also coincides with All Pints North.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm going to miss All Pints this year for only the second time.
What?
I'm going to Louisville.
Okay.
So there's like a group of us that met through a beer bloggers and writers conference that doesn't happen anymore. So we were like, hey, we miss each other. Let's try to revive this conference on a very small scale. And so we voted, and that's what Louisville was the place that everybody decided.
Kentucky,
and so
huh?
There's some breweries, but there's a butt ton of distilleries. I do enjoy bourbon. When you're not drinking beer, what's your beverage of choice?
Scotch.
Oh.
I do like Scotch.
Are you a smoky?
No, Highland Scotch.
Okay.
Smoother the better. I don't even like Middleton. Their blended stuff is great.
Oh, okay.
I just had some Redbreast Scotch, I believe it was. That was aged in sherry casks. That was amazing.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
But
okay.
Usually I usually do that, between January and March while it's still cold.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things, as we were talking about, distribution, where is craft beer going? We're in a really difficult time economically, and we've seen a lot of things both in the local kind of arena as well as some large regional breweries in the last couple of years have kind of closed their doors. People's drinking habits are changing. How are you? What is your take on that? How do you interpret that? And how do you adjust for that?
Those are all good questions. The market overall is it's slowing down for some sectors. And 9 years ago when I opened up the business, there was 2 books I read. One was from the Guild. I don't remember the name of it. It's probably How to Open a Brewery. And then the other one was your $10,000 guide. It was a short 86-page book. One book said location, location, location. The other book said doesn't matter on location because they'll come and find you.
Okay.
Now, I'd say in this term, it's location, location, location. I think those are the ones that are going to thrive. I also think that this is going to be reckoning year is not a great term to use, but a lot of us took EIDL money to keep things floating, and this is the year that you're going to have to start paying those loans back.
Yeah.
And it's going to hurt, especially if you're not in the THC market, which has really taken off and helped a lot of breweries right now.
Right.
My town had a moratorium in place the whole time, and now I'm not zoned to manufacture it.
Okay.
They are working on changing that. To be honest with you, I'm not a huge THC person anyways, so it's low priority, but there is a market, so if I could manufacture it versus buy it wholesale and sell it out of my shop, I would.
Yeah.
So we will see. It's harder to get shelf space for distribution. People aren't going out as much, and I believe and feel that people have a high support for their breweries and are saddened when they do close. But that is part of business. As businesses close and businesses open, and I think the term was used that just as many opened as they did close, and if you're the new shiny nickel on the block, then you will be successful for probably 2 years.
Right.
Just because you're going to have a stream of people coming to check you out.
Yep.
After that happens, then it's going to come down to just location or what do you have to offer. If it's food, if it's events, if it's how do you tie into the community, is it your distribution that you're going to rely on, which the margins are awful.
Yeah.
But it is still something to keep moving with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. So I want to, the THC, that has really changed the game for not only as a kind of an economic boost for breweries, but also I think a lot of people are either temporarily moving away from alcohol or for some permanently moving away from alcohol, but still want to enjoy a beverage. What options do you have here for people who aren't consuming alcohol?
We have non-alcoholic beer, not manufactured by us, but we sell it. Sodas. We currently don't allow THC on site. We sell it to go. Haven't had any people complain about it, to be honest with you. But
Okay.
I feel like if people go to a brewery, they're probably expecting to have a beer.
Right.
The sour market, if they do drink alcohol, sours do help with that. In the summertime, we bring in seltzers. But I don't know. I'll just see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes I think that, I mean, I'm not a THC person either. So like when I walk into a place and see just anything other than a beer on tap, I'm like, I kind of like furrow my brow and be like, oh, so what beer style did you take off to put that on there?
Yeah.
And I understand though that, you know, as I've kind of had more friends kind of like do dry January and realize that, okay, maybe alcohol doesn't need to be an all the time thing. They still want to participate. They still want to go to a place. And so I get that you have to have the things, but there's like the beer curmudgeon inside me that like, is that why there's no brown ale on? Like, is that, you know, is that why
Darn
I can't find it? You know, but it's a money making thing. And first and foremost, every brewery is a business and you have to do what you have to do. Do you feel that, you know, the thing you said about new breweries get a lot of traffic right away? In Minnesota, do you find, where's your tolerance for going into a brewery that you haven't heard anything about, and you order a beer and it's not up to par for the basic kind of checkpoints of quality? Are you okay with that because you are a business owner and you understand it's like, okay, not every batch is going to come out perfect, or does that bother you?
I can't. I wouldn't say it actually bothers me. It's more of a, you know, they'll either figure it out. They're going to sink or swim one way or another. But I can say that breweries aren't opening as frequently without experience.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times it's a brewer that went and opened up their same space for themselves.
Yep.
That, you know, that the quality is going to be there or pretty close, where they might just be figuring out some equipment, but they're going to have it nailed down pretty fast. Yeah. So I never snub my nose at a brewery just trying to take off and get it rolling.
Yeah.
You know, if they just open up, they're probably super busy anyways. So, and they'll know if their beer's not up to par, so they will have some time to figure it out, or they'll just find out that people aren't showing up as much, and then they'll have to adjust it from there.
Yeah, yeah. Where are when it comes to beer styles, I think lagers over the last couple of years have definitely become very popular. What do you think is the next trend, or what direction are breweries going? I know, you know, a lot of folks have moved away from flagships. Where are we going with beer styles, and what are the new trends that you're kind of picking up on?
Well, I still think IPAs aren't going anywhere. Lagers, because tanks aren't getting rolled, in my opinion anyways, the tanks aren't getting rolled as fast as they used to be, so you have the opportunity to do some more lagers. There's also some Quebec strains that come out pretty clean to try that as well. What I feel is going to be less of is I feel like the THC market has taken sours down a notch. A lot of the sour players are going into THC, and you can tell that they make pretty good THC drinks from what I've heard, but they're not cranking out the sours for it because you tie up your tank for X amount of days, or you can roll it and make more, and it tastes just as good. So I think that the sours are going to be a little less out there. IPAs will always be out there, lagers, and then that's where I also think it might become cyclical. I still say West Coast IPAs, those real, not bitter, but you start picking apart. You can start picking apart a beer, which is almost like a lager, with the different hops and presence there.
Well, and I think that West Coast is, I mean, yes, a lot of them, there's a higher level of bitterness, but they can also be bright.
Yes,
they can also be juicy.
Like a lager, yep.
And I think what I needed to do, for a while, a lot of the IPAs, I'll throw out Fulton Sweet Child Divine just comes to mind. Mm-hmm. This Midwest IPA, kind of a maltier version, and a lot of places were trying to do a pale ale, but it wasn't like clear. It was a little bit more like if you didn't smell it, you would have thought, oh, is this an amber ale or something? Mm-hmm. But when I first went out to Portland, Oregon, and started having pale ales that were clear like lagers, had juicy notes, but finished with a nice modicum of bitterness, and I was like, this is why if every pale ale was like this in Minnesota, I'd love pale ales.
Yeah.
But it was just not a thing. And I think that if I have no data or numbers to back this up, but it's all anecdotal. When I'm seeing more West Coast IPAs available, and I think people are finally realizing that while West Coast IPAs are bitter, they also have some of the elements that people really enjoy about a hazy IPA.
Yeah,
kind of like the best of both worlds almost, and you can see through it.
There's still the education portion on the consumer, though. I mean, I guess when I deliver a keg to a restaurant, if I deliver a West Coast IPA, it'll be 4 weeks. If I deliver a hazy IPA, it'll be a week or two.
Sure.
It's just there's that many people. And I've been sitting at a bar, and they'll ask, like, what do you want? Like, just something hazy. Like, so that's, there's still, if there's obviously a market for it, so I don't find that slowing down. Therefore, it becomes more of an educational thing of, somebody's got to say, well, did you try this?
Yeah.
And then it's almost cyclical because that's what was big 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I remember for the 15 minutes of fame that black IPAs or Cascadian dark ales had, now those are everywhere again.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. When you are thinking about, the front-facing employees in the tap room, what level of is it very purposeful where like, hey, okay, you need to educate people about the beer. You need to or is that just something that they do naturally? I think it's a really important part of the craft beer experience is being able to walk in and have a conversation and dialogue with somebody behind the bar and ask questions. Is that something that you kind of prioritize when you're training somebody?
Short answer, no.
So
don't hate me on
there
that
we
one.
go.
But I
controversial.
I do hire people that do enjoy beer, so I don't need to. Sometimes I'll tell them exactly what's in it if we have time, but we rotate through beers a lot. So I'll ask them what do you pick out of it? As long as they can talk to about how they like the beer,
sure, that's
all I care about.
Yeah.
Because then you're still making the connection with the customer. It's their gut feeling. They're not trying to rehearse a speech or anything like that. And, if somebody says, what hops are in this? I can't tell you what's in the hops of the beer we did last because we're already working on the next one.
Sure.
And so I can't expect my staff to, without going and checking a sheet.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
To have things memorized. So as long as the people that work there enjoy beer and enjoy talking about it, that's the main part for me.
Okay. Yeah. And I would say that's, whether you said it's not a priority, but I think it happens. If you hire somebody who likes beer, it's gonna happen.
I have some people that are big into homebrewing. One of the homebrewers brews a beer at the shop once a year, and it's great. Does he have a higher level of knowledge on what to talk about? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't expect everybody to have that same knowledge as long as they can make a connection and talk about it. I mean, I've heard of some places that do training sessions, monthly to talk about beer, and I think that's great. I don't have the time to do it, and when I have a whole group of people, I'm looking at it like, well, this is a lot of money to have this this meeting, right? And they're all
take small sips. We're just gonna yeah. Where are some of your favorite places to go for beer?
Man, it's hard to get away from work.
Yeah.
So my couch.
Okay. What's in your fridge right now?
A good one. I got some hams. I always have hams.
Yeah.
I got some of my beer in there. Fulton 300. I think that beer is delicious.
Yeah.
And Summit. I have some Summit in there.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. I have a very. My wife doesn't like it when I clog up the fridge with crowlers and whatnot, so I have to kind of try to kind of sneak it, hide it behind the mail.
Right.
But I always I've been really enjoying a lot of the super deluxe, the modest. It's like a rice lager. That one is kind of my let's say flavor of the month, but it goes longer than that. It's flavor of the year.
I've just
try
been that one.
Really enjoying it. Yeah, it's really good. I always have Summit Twins pills, which is their Keller pills. But then sometimes picking up a growler here, growler there. It's just I like to try whatever is the best. I'll usually ask if I go to a brewery, what do you like? What do you recommend that I take home that I haven't had? Or if I really like something Bohemian Club, please, to go.
You're the one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So the crowlers don't fly of that here?
As far as what?
Bohemian Club?
Crowlers?
Yeah.
So
do you guys do crowlers?
We stopped doing crowlers.
Oh, okay.
So when the law changed, I had a half a pallet of crowlers, and I started putting our 16-ounce cans out there, and 6 months later, I had a half a pallet of crowlers. So,
okay.
I sold them, but I do have as I introduced our brand into the market, we were filling 16-ounce cans with a Dixie Seamer, and doing that and filling it like a crowler. So we do have that Seamer available.
Okay.
And I stopped the crowlers machine's still sitting upstairs, but we haven't had a play for it, and it's just I don't have to deal with the extra storage.
Yeah.
Having two separate can prices and that sort of stuff.
So one thing, the first time I met you, it was at the One Fermentory, RIP One.
Yeah.
They were doing a panel on diversity in beer, put on kind of in conjunction with NPR.
Yeah, I remember that.
Brewing Change Collaborative. They had somebody from Beer Wax out in New York.
Yeah, guy was cool.
They had somebody from New Belgium who worked in their lab.
She was a genius.
And that was a really fun evening. And as that was the first Brewing Change Collaborative thing. And so Brewing Change Collaborative is a nonprofit meant to help make craft beer more inclusive to people of color. That was my first BCC thing, and a friend of mine told me about Brewing Change before, and I was like, "Wait, what? There's a group of people of color in craft beer?" Because it had always kind of been something that I thought about. I'm craft beer is very white.
It is,
and it's I've never really been in a situation in a tap room where I've noticed a lot of diversity. When I first started teaching in Hopkins, the student body was very white. It was maybe 5%, and as now, I think it's probably close to 50%.
Okay.
I've always valued diversity as a person of color. But growing up in West St. Paul, Minnesota, not very diverse. My sister and I are adopted. And so having white parents and just it has always kind of been a thing where I just grew up never really expecting to see more than like the occasional person coming through, whether it was in school or wherever I was. But when I found out about Brewing Change, I was really excited because I'm like, this is great. This is good. Because I was road tripping through Michigan, and I went to a brewery in Grand Rapids called City Built. One of their owners is Latino, and I was sitting in the tap room, and it was the first time ever where I looked around. I'm like, there are more Latinos here than white people. And I was like, that was a really cool thing. And I made the comment. He's like, yeah, that is a cool thing. It doesn't happen very often. Yeah. Remember this day, you know. And in the landscape of craft breweries in Minnesota, there are not many brewery owners of color.
No.
What is that? What is that like?
I don't know what it's. I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough industry to get into first,
Right.
and then it's one of those industries. If you're a person of color and you go into a brewery, and let's say it's your first time at a brewery or whatnot, or a tap room, and you don't feel like you fit in, you're likely never going to be like, oh, I'm going to start a brewery, right? It's just the way it is.
Yes.
But if that person has a passion for beer and can find a way to find the funds to do it, then it becomes a doable thing.
Yeah.
Through the process, when I opened up, I mean, I opened up my shop with cash. There was no investors, there was no people I had to go through. I tried going through a bank. I had a decent amount of money in the bank, and the bank that I was working with, a large national chain. They said, well, and they weren't wrong, right? They said, well, what's your experience in the brewing industry? And I said, nothing. And, well, what's your experience with business? I said, well, nothing. And they said, well, good luck. And that was it, right?
Yeah.
So unless you have some people, and it's a very capital intensive business where, you need to pay a lot up front to play.
Yeah.
And then from there, you got to look at it from the long-term goal and the perspective or long-term plan. So as far as why there isn't people of color in there, I don't know. It's changes like groups like the BCC, I think, is great. It helps bring people of color to try to enjoy beer, not feel like an outcast. And also, if a brewery is doing things right, anybody that walks through the door should always feel welcome.
Right.
And that's kind of the main thing for me. When I was on that panel, it was really interesting because I believe it was an MBA panel, and I never went to college. So it's like I don't belong on this board. But there was a lot of questions asked about my business and what my business does for integration or bringing people into either the industry or my tap room. And like that, look at the demographics of my town.
Right.
They're just not there.
Yeah.
So it is. I mean, I have more retired people working for me than anybody else. Because they work 4 hours a week, and they're awesome, and they're super reliable. But so I guess that's the short answer of it. I guess one thing that I've done outside of my role at the brewery is I started a scholarship with the DCTC group, the Dakota County Technical College.
Yeah.
To pay for half of people's college, half of people's brewery, program, if they're a person of color and they submit for the funds. And this year, somebody finally used it. It took 2 years, though.
Really?
2 years before somebody actually used it. So I hope the person's name is Abate Tarif, and I'm supposed to meet them during a meet and greet type thing in April. So I'm excited to hear about that. What
is the scholarship called?
The Charles Dorsey Montgomery Brewing Scholarship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it pays for half.
Good.
And I'm not sure because I talked to him after the first year. I said, well, if nobody's using it, just pay for their entire school. So I'm not sure if they did half, but I expect when I go in, if I'm gonna re-up, if they're ready for a re-up or not.
Yeah. I think I didn't know about that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I think it's like I've talked to other breweries that are kind of like outside of the Twin Cities, and it must feel kind of like a double-edged sword because on one hand you want to be inclusive, but like you said, you're in Montgomery, you can only hire who applies.
Yeah.
And so if somebody walks in, like, oh, there's no people that look like me working here. Sometimes, and I think I've been guilty of this myself. I've gone into places and I've been like, I don't see anybody here. Does that mean I'm not welcome? Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it too, which I think is a complicating thing. There's just a lot of nuance to it, you know, and especially as an owner, I'm sure, like, if I don't know what the demographics of Montgomery are, I'm sure I'm just assuming it's not that diverse. Maybe it is.
There's a large Hispanic community.
Okay.
A lot of that's with the food manufacturing area.
Okay.
But you know, it goes back to a business of making everyone feel welcome.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. If you walk in and there's nobody of color in there, but if they're like, hey, how's it going? You know, how do you like the beer? What do you think of it? Let me tell you about the beer. Let me tell you, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Without being pushy, but trying to engage conversation, I'll be back.
Yeah.
If I walk in and I get, hey, bro, they give me my beer and they never look at me again, I'm not going to go back.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against the business, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's in there.
Right.
And it doesn't matter who owns it or who's working it. That's just how I feel as a customer. If I want to, you get to be choosy because there's so many breweries.
Right.
If you have a good experience, you have my loyalty.
Yeah.
If I'm driving down the road, I'll stop in, see you guys are open.
Yeah.
Have a beer.
Yeah. So, give me the elevator pitch to somebody who I'm like, you know, they're hemming and hawing about making the drive down to the cities to come to Montgomery. Why should they visit?
You know, there's not many breweries that are that have the brewery history. So it's kind of fun going to a small town, checking it out. The town's great. The downtown area is fun. They have a great bakery, good pizza shop, tons of other bars if you want to hit bars. And they have a golf course in town, which is big. The Montgomery National Golf Course, they were on the news last year for their Beatles-themed golf course.
Oh,
so
okay.
we're actually doing a beer for them for the summertime.
Oh, nice.
But you know, just try something new. We make really good beer, Untapped. On the Untapped rating, we're within the top 30 all the time. If you search, you know, breweries near me or whatever, we're always within the top 30, and we pride ourselves on that.
Yeah.
But just experiencing something new, it's a nice drive. I personally grew up, like you said, you grew up in West St. Paul.
Yeah.
Not very diverse. Totally segue of your answer, but
Yeah.
I grew up in the military. So, and you and I we're a year apart.
Yeah.
You know, I have way more gray hair than you.
Oh, it's coming. Believe me, it's coming.
But we're a
I was
year
hoping
apart.
these pilsners would help keep it in check, but that's not working.
No, it doesn't. I tried that already. But growing up in that age, you know, in the military, that was pre-internet. You know, so when you moved on, you found new friends.
Yeah.
And then it was just me and my mom. So when we'd switch, I'd go live with my grandparents for a while. So I did a few years there in a town of Manana, Minnesota. And that's a town that's 11 miles away from the next town, which is a town of 300 people.
Okay. Wow.
Called Grove City. So I lived on a farm out there. So
Okay.
I was always used to not fitting in.
Yeah.
It is a level of uncomfortableness, but it's also a level of comfortableness. You know, you recognize that you are who you are, and then as I got older, I am who I am.
Yeah.
I'm always in the middle. My biological dad is super dark.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle when I go to my family reunions and stuff, or my family on my mom's side. It's not. I just call myself like brown.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Same.
Like, what are you? I'm like, I'm brown. I either fit or don't fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's your choice, but I'm going to be here anyways.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I mentioned earlier, my sister and I are both adopted from Colombia, and she's way darker than I am. And I'm just like, there's like a range.
Yeah.
And like at parent-teacher conferences, I had somebody on a Google Meet. It was an older couple, and they were like complaining about how diverse my school district is. And the guy said to me, well, I just don't know why there has to be so much diversity. And I was
okay.
Do you have any questions about the grades or homework? Yeah. Okay, well, I think we're done here. It was just like, yeah, so there's just like, yeah. Some people don't like it, but I appreciate it, and I think that I think it's good. I always enjoy chatting with you and about beer and life and anything else that comes along, and I wish I lived closer because I would definitely be a regular here. But I do enjoy your beer, and I like what you're doing, and this has been fun. So I'm reaching. I got a couple sips left of my Irish Stout, so I think it's probably. Unless you have any other parting final thoughts about the world beer coming up, any big events coming up in the spring or summer?
We're doing 2 events this year where we close the street down. The first one is Can. It's Sunday of Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
When the Sunday sales were approved, I was at a guild meeting, one of the few that I attended, and we were recognized as the first brewery to get the Sunday sales. And at the time, that was also the same time when crowlers were becoming a thing. So we made the event called Can because we can. And it's nice. Stuck around since. So it's a good time. We have a band, food truck, really low key. It's kind of it's a fun environment. We do a bring your own chair. It's like you're on your own patio. You know?
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I was like, I've seen something on your social media where there's like a bunch of chairs outside.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And then Kalachki Days is the town festival, and that's a great time. That's a 3-day ordeal. They have the parade at the end of it and everything. And we have bands and such on Friday and Saturday for that. But Kalachki Days, Can, those are 2 great events, and just get out and support your local brewery and go explore some new ones.
Yeah, awesome. Well. This has been fun, and now we're going to maybe pack up the stuff, head up the road. You've got your Bat... Did you bring the Batmobile?
No, it was too cold.
All right.
I have my sub.
What? So tell me about this car, because this car is amazing.
Well, the one that you saw was the V6 model.
Okay.
When we met about 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And then, so since we have time, the long story is my mother was always a big fan of cars, and she had a lead foot. When we went to Germany, she freaking just crushed it on the Autobahn with our 1978 LTD2, and it was such a big car back then, the Germans would just move out of the way for her. So anyways, she passed away, and I had sold that car that I got, that 78 car, I sold it, and so I got the V6 version, and then I got the V8 version. So now I have a 2018 Camaro 2SS Redline, and I just had it dynoed. So it's got 450 horsepower to the wheel. So I added an extra 70 horsepower. But it also has summer tires on, and it does not like 40-degree weather.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, you'll have to drive... I might actually be able to keep up with you, because last time we were like, well, I'll just follow you.
Yeah.
And then you disappear. I'm like, I think you just made the jump to light speed. What happened? So
that was fun.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap it up. But Charles, thank you so much for having me down.
Thanks
has
for
been
coming
really
down.
fun.
Appreciate the time.
So this has been another on location episode of a One Pint Stand down here at Montgomery Brewing in Montgomery, Minnesota. Cheers.
Cheers.
And that brings us to the end of another episode. I really enjoyed chatting with Chuck. He's so soft-spoken, but he has an absolute wealth of beer knowledge. He works his butt off to make Montgomery Brewing a truly special place to go in the landscape of Minnesota craft beer. I really appreciate his perspective, and he's definitely one of the good ones. If you ever are down there and you see him there, he loves to chat beer. So he's one of the people that I really always look forward to seeing. Our paths don't cross nearly as often as I'd like, but when they do, it's always a great conversation. So I'm always impressed with what Montgomery also has on tap. If you haven't been down there, put it on your list. It's not that far. They do a really nice job of straddling the line between styles that are popular and styles that are classic and will scratch that craft beer itch. in the episode, he talked about Brexit, which is a British-style ale that I love. And so every now and again, they'll do those, things that you don't see very often, but were definitely probably a beer that you drank and got you excited about craft beer at some point. So their beers are well made, and I always look forward to visiting the cozy little tap room that Montgomery Brewing has. I can't wait till the next time I get to head down there and have a great beer chat with my friend Chuck. So that brings us to the close of another episode of A One Pint Stand, a Minnesota craft beer podcast where the pants stay on, but the caps come off. Cheers.